Yep, it's looking like it started. All right, we're gonna get started, and we're gonna make. Oh, hold on a second. I'm gonna get started in just a second. Okay.
You forgot the microphone.
All right, is it connected yet? All right, is it connected yet? I think I'm connected.
It is. It's showing microphone.
Very good. So, I'm gonna put this on the inside. Put this, bam. All right, how about that? Now you can hear me, can't you? You can hear me very good. All right. All right, so what we're gonna do today, we're gonna get started on making this yogurt. Now the yogurt that I like to make for my patients who may or may not be metabolically challenged has a bunch of the microbacteria that are important for primarily insulin resistance and weight loss, okay? So we've chosen some special types of bacteria for that. This has been inspired by Dr. Bill Davis in his book called Super Gut, and it's over there. And that Super Gut book tells you the formulas. Now he is talking in general. I'm going to be talking primarily for you, primarily because the type of bacteria that I want to use are handle two things. Number one, it makes your mood better. So you get out of that depression, you get out of that fatigue, you kind of lose some of that stuff, and you become excited about life. What do I want to do tomorrow? Or what do I want to do in the last decade of my life? So you get excited about life in general, number one. But number two, but most importantly, is that I've looked up certain bacteria and certain strains of the bacteria that will actually increase a particular hormone that I'm very fond of, and that is GLP-1, glucagon-like polypeptide 1. And what I want to do is show you how to jumpstart your metabolism so that you can continue to stimulate your GLP-1 release. The first thing you got to do is you got to have a healthy microbiome. And to be honest with you, most of our microbiome is unhealthy. Period. Enough said. So let's get right into it. All right, so these are some of the core things that I have. Some of the things that I have is basically, this is a Sutek yogurt making machine. I think you can get it on Amazon for around about $39, $49 or something like that. Look it up, check me out. All right, I'll show you how to turn that on right now. It's kind of warming up. Then we're gonna start with a mixture, a blend of the Lactobacillus reuteri, and you're going to need three products. The bacteria, this is the Lactobacillus reuteri. I'll show you a close-up view of it in a moment. And then that bacteria, once you open it up and get it into your mixture, you got to give it some food. We give it the inulin, which is the soluble fiber. Then we mix that up, and we mix it in with half and half. But again, because of popular demand, I've made a special concoction because just mixing this up with half and half gives it a pretty tart taste. To me, it was pretty tasty. But to all my staff and everybody I tried it on, they said, ooh, this is a little too tart. So what I've been able to do is to take the half and half, and then you mix it with another type of organic creamer. This one is actually just French vanilla creamer. So you mix 2/3 of this and 1/3 of this. So let's get started. So what I've basically done is that I want to take the Lactobacillus reuteri. This is a blend. If you can look here, this is what it looks like, okay? All right, so Lactobacillus reuteri, it has a blend. And I'm going to read to you, and I'll basically put this on the video, edit it in as well. It has Lactobacillus reuteri. The strain is important because there are a lot of Lactobacilli reuteri out there. But the ones that I want you to concentrate on are the ones that have been studied to be effective for this particular process that I'm talking about. So the smooth skin, the better mood, the more empathy, the more lovingness, the more social interact. Because believe it or not, no matter what we do with our diet, no matter what we do with our exercise, without that mental part of empathy and social connection, we're still not quite there. The studies have shown, and I'm just talking in general here, that diet, losing fat, exercise are all fine. But without that social connection, your quality of life and your longevity would be adversely affected. So you can lose weight, lose fat, you can exercise all you want to, but unless you have that third component, which is the mindset, the mindfulness, the empathy, the social connectiveness with your family, your friends, and others, the social part has come into light as something that's very, very important. So if you are a loner, it's okay, but you will need to develop some sort of social connectivity with your wife, your spouse, your family, your friends, somebody. But like I said, this is the one that's been studied for that effect and other effects as well. But this is what. So these are tablets, okay? And these tablets, let me kind of give you an idea as to what they look like in the box. So you open this up, and they're just basically tablets, okay? So these tablets are the suspended form of the bacteria. These bacteria are freeze-dried in these tablet forms, and the box says they're 50 billion units or something like that, colony-forming units. And so they're freeze-dried in this tablet form. So you have to activate them. They're perfectly fine at room temperature for a while, and the activation depends upon humidity, moisture. Once we add moisture to this in the form of the half and half milk, then the bacteria will be released, okay? Now, if you were to take these by itself, then obviously once it goes into your mouth, into a warm, humid, moist environment, then the bacteria are released. But what we're trying to do is not trying to buy these every month, taking one a day and buying it every month. What we want to do is to make this more potent by making it make babies. And what do we do? How do we do that? We ferment it. So that's what this yogurt thing is all about. So we're going to take this, break it down, the first 10 tablets, break it down into the powder. And that's what this is. I've broken it down already. And this is the powder of 10 tablets that I've crushed. All right? So I'll crush this. And once I add the milk to this, then the bacteria become activated. Then the whole moral of the story is that we're going to put it into this incubator, the yogurt maker, for 36 hours. So we're going to take 10 billion CFUs and we're going to make hundreds of billions of CFUs. Get it? So the more populous you have of good bacteria in your colon, the better it is. Once you feed it with the inulin, you got the good bacteria in your colon, you're going to make what's called postbiotics, and those are the short chain fatty acids, the butyrate, the acetate, the propionate. What do those things do? Well, those short chain fatty acids are the things that I've been telling you about. Those short chain fatty acids are the things that actually feed a signal to our enteroendocrine cells in our small bowel, and they manufacture GLP-1 and promote the release of that GLP-1. Cool, right? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a product that actually increases the release of GLP-1 along with the other things that I told you about. And what does GLP-1 do? Well, for my patient population, what we want GLP-1 to do is actually to do the three things that the GLP-1 is known to do. The GLP-1 that they're selling you in the form of injections every month, that GLP-1 does three things. It increases your satiety. What is that? Satiety tells you that you're full, you're satisfied. It increases your satiety, a good thing. So you stop eating, calories in versus calories out kind of a thing. The second thing that it does that is important to me is also it increases your basal metabolic rate. It increases your metabolism. So if you're trying to lose fat, you have to have sort of a calorie deficit. So just eating smaller amounts may be enough, but then we have a safety net. Let's increase the amount that your body requires a day, and that increases that calorie deficit. So if your basal metabolic rate or your metabolic rate in general after you kind of get up and going is around about 2,000 calories, meaning that your body has to have 2,000 calories to get through the day, but you're only giving it 1,000 calories, then you have a calorie deficit of around about 1,000 calories, all right? Well, that 1,000 calories has to come from somewhere because the body will say, I can't get through this day without that extra 1,000 calories. So what does it do? It intentionally goes to your body and finds the stores of energy. The easiest energy source that we have for it is a fat. So that's how we begin to get into our fat stores, extract 1,000 calories a day. Now, what the GLP-1 does is this is let's make it get more fat. So let's increase that metabolism, that metabolic rate, from 2,000 to 2,300 calories. So instead of 1,000 calorie deficit, it has a 1,300 calorie deficit. So he has to get 300 more calories, a total of 1,300 calories per day from the fat stores, making more and more fat having to be burnt. Okay, cool. So that's calories in versus calories out. We're creating a calorie deficit. But the third thing, and to me the most important thing of what GLP-1 does, is that it decreases, it squashes your cravings. So, and that was my biggest problem because it didn't matter so much because I could probably work on it with severe good willpower. I could work on decreasing my calories. I could say, listen, I'm going to stop eating after I'm having a quarter of a plate. I'm going to stop eating. I would still be hungry, but I'd have to use willpower. And then, so I could probably do that on my own. I could probably increase my metabolism too by exercising more. I could do that on my own. But my problem is that when you're restricting yourself, you're restricting your desires, the one thing we couldn't control was our cravings. I couldn't control my cravings for sweets. I wanted to have sweet. I wanted to have some mashed potatoes, some pasta. I wanted to have some candy, some sweets. What the GLP-1 does, the third function of it, is it squashes your cravings. Cool. Those three things, right? Increases your satiety, increases your metabolism, and decreases your cravings. Okay. So we want that GLP-1. So, right? All right. So I have the Lactobacillus reuteri here. Now crushed up to 10 tablets, and it's all here. Okay. Now, what I've got to do, the second ingredient that I'm going to add, once I get this into my body, it's got to have some food. And you too. Once you realize that you start putting this yogurt and you're putting the good bacteria into your colon and you got it there, got to feed it. So we'll talk about that as well. But we got to feed it just to be in the beginning. So I'm going to give it some food. The food we give it is fiber. It's called inulin. It's a soluble fiber. I give it 2 tablespoons. I'm going to show you a secret though, because some of the people tell me that, hey doc, mine came out a little watery. If it comes out a little watery, you got to put it into the refrigerator after it's done, after the 36 hours. You got to put it into the refrigerator for about 3 hours before you taste test it. And if it's watery at that particular point in time, it means that it didn't quite have enough fiber in it. So instead of 2 tablespoons, you may want 2.5 tablespoons or 3 tablespoons possibly. So the fiber is necessary. Now, if you think about it, if I start mixing and matching, like on this particular example, I'm going to put the Lactobacillus reuteri in there. Then I'm going to put some of this other stuff. This other one called the mood. What the mood has in it is Lactobacillus helveticus, which has been studied, along with the Bifidobacterium longum, to give you that chill effect. Now you got decreased anxiety, decreased levels of depression because of these 2 bacteria being studied together. But this mood, here it is. I'll also put a screenshot of that on there. And I'm going to put the screenshot of the back label as well, because it also has some good things. It has Lactobacillus gasseri in here, and it has Lactobacillus rhamnosus in here. Both of those which have been studied and shown to increase GLP-1. Yay. All right. So take 2 capsules of this. of the mood, which has the Bifidobacterium longum, is they come in capsules. These capsules, just twist them apart and you put them over the Reuteri. There's one capsule empty, and this is going to be two capsules in there. Okay, so now we got the Reuteri, and we have the mood. We got rhamnosus, we got Gasseri, but most importantly for this particular type of bacteria, I want the chill effect, the decrease in anxiety, and the decrease in depression, which is what has been studied for. All right. One more thing I'm going to add in there. It's from Mercola.com. It's a probiotic, and it has the Lactobacillus gasseri. That has been studied quite extensively, again, for its release of GLP-1. See the theme here? I just want people to take away some of their anxieties about eating, to take away, people sometimes eat because they're depressed about things. I want to control that, but at the same time, I want to increase GLP-1. So I'm adding a number of things in here that do that. The Lactobacillus reuteri, the Bifidobacterium longum, and Helveticus. That gives you that calm, but the Gasseri and the rhamnosus increases the GLP-1. Don't expect you to remember all this, but I'll remember it for you. So I'm going to take one of these. That's what it looks like there. Again, I'll show it. I'll show you the back of it. I'm going to take one of these capsules, and I'm going to break it down and add that. Just one of those, two of the other, because that's what the bottle says. This because I've already made a batch. This is a batch that I made a couple of days ago. It's great. And when I get ready to make this again, rather than adding the capsules and the crushed tablets, you don't have to buy that anymore. You just take a couple of tablespoons of this product and you put it into the bowl, and you add the prebiotic fiber, the inulin, you add the half and half and the other milk that we talked about, and you put it in there and you stir it up, and you then cook that, you ferment that. Cool, right? So we're talking about something that's going to be very, very inexpensive for you, because once you make a batch, then that batch will become good for several batches to follow in time. So you see I have everything here. Make sure I have everything. I have the mood. I have the Lactobacillus gasseri, and I have the reuteri. All right. Then what I did was I'll take a cup, and this is a 300 cc measuring cup, and I'll put 2/3 of just regular half and half from Publix, just regular half and half. So I'll put 600 cc's of half and half into my container over here, and then the other 300 cc's of something to just kind of sweeten it a little bit. The problem with this is I don't want to use too much of this because it does have a little sugar in it. It does have 4 grams of sugar, okay? So you just want to add a very small amount, and that sugar during the fermentation process should be eaten up by the bacteria. But again, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to add 300 cc's of here. So you're going to do this twice for the half and half, 300 cc's. And then you're going to put it into, I use a coffee carafe, so I'll use 600 cc's of half and half. I'm not going to do that because I've already done it. And then I'll use 300 cc's more of this into that. So that mixture that you see right here is just that. There are 900 cc's in here, 900. 600 cc's of just plain half and half, the creamer. And then another 300 cc's just to sweeten it up a little bit. And I use a couple things. I use something, but it has to have a little bit of taste to it. That's what the office staff wanted. I gave it to them. But to me, just if you wanted to go right along with the book, just use a full 900 cc's of half and half. See how you taste. See how that tastes for you first. If you like that yogurt, then use that. But if it's a little too tart for you, yeah, you go ahead and use the mixture brand. So that's what we're making now. All right. So when it comes out of the refrigerator or comes out of the store, it's a little cold. So I like to make it just about room temperature so it's cold. I'll put this in the microwave for 2 minutes, okay? So here we go. Let's go ahead and just stick it in the microwave. And when I put it in for 2 minutes, it's just gonna make it up to about the room temperature, okay? All righty, here we go. Now, the timer's going off, so I'm gonna go over here and get it out the microwave. And now it's just about room temperature. You can, a minute and a half, something like that is about room temperature. So I'm gonna use just a little bit of this, a tablespoon or two, and pour it into the mixture. There's the mixture with all the Lactobacillus reuteri, the Lactobacillus gasseri, and the mood, which is the Bifidobacterium longum, and the Lactobacillus helveticum, okay? And the special strains. I'm gonna put a little bit of this just to make it moist enough so that I can make a slurry out of it. Okay, and I'll begin to stir it up to get it nice and slurry-like. Don't want to add too much milk into it because it gets to be too watery, but you want to break up all the clumps and get everything all nice and smooth. Alrighty, we're back. And I made it into a nice slurry. You can see I've gotten rid of the clumps and the lumps, and maybe you can see, maybe you can't see, but didn't trust me. I've gotten rid of the clumps and the lumps. It's nice and smooth. And so this is, if I don't waste, this is again room temperature. That's the 2/3 mixture of half and half, 1/3 mixture of a creamer that basically has a little bit of what's called French vanilla in it. And that just takes a little bit of the tartness out of it. So just go ahead and pour that into the mix. Looks good. I added a little bit more inulin. Let me just kind of give you my theory on that. It's nothing I can prove. But the more of the mixture you have, so if you have Lactobacillus reuteri, Lactobacillus helveticus, if you have rhamnosus in there, the more bacteria you have in there, the more they may fight for the food. The food is the inulin. So normally we'll put 2 tablespoons in, but sometimes I'll put 2.5, 3 tablespoons in, just so that there'll be enough food to go around, right? Because who knows, I don't know what the exact amount of food or inulin that they need, but I've had a couple of people that have told me that, listen, mine is a little watery. When I put all that stuff in there, it's a little watery, and that's probably because there's not enough inulin. And if there's not enough inulin, the bacteria can die if they don't have enough food. And so just a little bit more. You don't want to overfeed them, but just a little bit more of inulin. Another tablespoon won't do it any harm. So I'm just mixing that all up. And ladies and gentlemen, we're about done here, because all I'm going to do now is to pour it into these 9 Suteck jars, and you fill them up by half, because I always like to leave a little bit of half, because when I eat this, when it comes out and when it's nice and chilled, I always add some fiber to it. And the fiber of choice, as far as I'm concerned, are the raspberries. That gives it a nice, different, sweeter flavor. The raspberries, the blackberries, the blueberries, or any sort of berry that you add in here is pretty good. And plus there's another 2 or 3 grams of fiber every time you eat one of these. And I'll eat one of these, that's it. I'll eat one of these 3 times a day. So if I'm only getting 2 grams of fiber with the raspberries, I'll put this in here, but before I do, let me show you how I turn it on. This is the Suteck maker, yogurt maker, and it has an off and on button. The last setting I had was on 106, so it always remembers that. It comes back to 106. I push the next button to go to the amount of time that I want. It's at 35 minutes and 50 seconds. I'll hit it again, and I can increase it back up to 36 hours. Let me go back, and then go to 36 hours, okay? And then I hit the on button again. It sets that in, and it starts the countdown. All right, so the countdown is now at 36 hours at 106 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so there's that. It's beginning to get warm at the bottom. And I take the prepared yogurt, I put it into that. Sits nice and snug. I'm gonna cover all of these. I'm gonna cover all these with these little caps that come with it. It's important that it kind of keeps the heat in. Once we get them all covered, then it's gonna start the countdown process. And you wanna make sure that before you use this, you wash it out with nice soap and water, because you wanna get all the residual bacteria of a dirty machine. I want to get all that out, because you don't want to introduce any other foreign bacteria into your good bacteria, okay? So cover it up. All right, so this is again what it looks like with the caps on it. Beginning the countdown, and we're good to go. Put the top on it. Now, the next batch that I have 2 of these. So I'm gonna make another batch, but this time I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of this previous batch.